U24. Don't miss on U24.
Sometimes because of the exposure we talked about in our previous episode, the sources, someone by the age of 18, they are so much exposed to sexual content, both online and offline. So when you talk about sexual purity, it is something very hard, and some people will not understand you. So today I want to talk about why is it important? I mean, how can you convince me to be sexually pure? I need to test. I need to know how. When I'm still, I need to practice so that when I grow up and I start doing these things, I'm perfect at them. So why is it important for someone to be sexually pure?
Wow, I hear practice. I don't even know what you're practicing. But I really doubt there's anything you're practicing. You're practicing to do what? To raise the leg higher, to do what? Okay. You can learn on job, yes, and actually it's the better because you know best you're dealing with the right tool at the moment.
But even when you're working, they ask for working experience. So if you practice when you're young, then you can.
You're going to do internship and they don't retain you.
I know.
I'm not advocating for those who are sleeping around, because I believe there's so many, in a wicked world that we're in, people are having so many curses they're moving around with. You're going to carry along all those things. You do not know where they're coming from. I feel you can have your one partner and find the safest ways of being, you know.
U24. Don't miss on U24.
Now, to be honest with you, we are currently living in the best time to ever get rich online. And well, I assume that's why you're watching this video. Now, to some of you who may not know who I am, well, I'm Daniel Ashweze, a 24-year millionaire day trader, and I've been trading close to 5 years. I have generated hundreds of thousands of dollars entirely through trading. And more to that, I've been able to teach thousands of students to make money trading. Now, my purpose of doing this video is to teach you on how to start trading completely from scratch. I'll show you what to do straight from the beginning, and I'll also take you through the intermediate, and lastly, how you can actually be able to make money. And by the way, I'll also show you on how you can start with as less as $50. Now, without any further ado, let's get started with our course.
Don't miss on U24.
Entrepreneurs Hub, giving you a deep and unique insight into agribusiness, services, ICT and innovation, industrialization and so much more. Entrepreneurs Hub, growing your small, medium and large business entity. With yours truly, Sandra Kahunde.
Don't miss on U24.
Entrepreneurs Hub, giving you a deep and unique insight into agribusiness, services, ICT and innovation, industrialization and so much more. Entrepreneurs Hub, growing your small, medium and large business entity. With yours truly, Sandra Kahunde.
Hello, my name is Erica Murunji and welcome to Be Inspired by Erica. So today I want to talk about personal branding. The way you appear in public, your dress code, your personal hygiene, the words that come out of your mouth, your language, is the way people will address you. Be mindful of the things like your behavior, your actions, your language, the way you talk, the way you dress. Because the people you surround yourself with, your dress code, the words that come out of your mouth, and the way you address others is what defines who you are. Therefore, remind yourself every day, every night, that your personal branding is a priority. Thank you for watching. Stay blessed. Much love.
U24.
The vulnerable Ugandans against violent people who have firearms or who behave like military personnel. I beg to submit.
The law is to protect Ugandans against those that are to do violence and those who are armed. Those are the words by the minister. And I want to be able to get you the remedies that were in the proposed bill. And it reads, The intention of the bill is to amend the Uganda People's Defense Forces Act 330 and A, to align the act with new government policies and the command, control, and other administrative structures of the defense forces, which have evolved by virtue of introduction of new services in the defense forces. B, to improve the welfare of the officers and militants of the defense forces to address the glaring gaps in health care by providing for health care for officers and militants. C, to harmonize the management of military veterans. D, to provide for the decentralization of pension authority from the Ministry of Public Service to the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs. D, E, to enhance disability compensation to enable fair payment of compensation to officers and militants of the defense forces for injuries sustained while on duty and to address the resulting challenges faced by officers and militants living with post-traumatic stress disorder. F, to restructure and reestablish the courts-martial in the defense forces in accordance with Article 129, Clause 1D of the Constitution and prescribe their jurisdiction to provide for the membership and the qualifications of presiding officers of the courts-martial for the independence of the courts-martial. G, to provide for appeals from the court-martial. H, to prescribe exceptional circumstances under which civilians may be tried by the courts-martial. I, to establish a military courts department which shall be responsible for the administration of justice within the defense forces and provide for its membership. J, to establish a disciplinary unit within the defense forces which shall be responsible for the discipline of the members of the military courts department and to prescribe the arms and ammunition which are the monopoly of the defense forces and the classified stores of the defense forces. And from the communique by the Minister of Defense, clearly stating that actually this law is not specifically made against 45 million Ugandans, but also a bit to make it clear that, you know, this is not specifically against the opposition. Maybe we shall be able to understand from the conversations that we shall be having right here. And to get you to understand, I wanted you to be able to look at this bill because all we're understanding or all that the ordinary people are hearing about this bill is about the court-martial. And today we want to be able to break down all this. Certainly, I don't think you knew that all this was in this bill that was passed. And I have a very capable team of young people from LDC. And first, I will let them introduce themselves, starting from my immediate left. Vianney, welcome to U24. And being the pioneers right here at the checkpoint, welcome, kindly say hello to the viewer.
Thank you very much, moderator. My name is John Vianney Ayebare, and I'm the Guild President at the Law Development Center. Good evening, viewers.
Thank you so much. Mugoya, welcome to the checkpoint.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, thank you so much. It's indeed a pleasure to be here, and allow me say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all our dear viewers. Mugoya Ashraf Harid is my name, and I'm glad and I'm honored to be here to share and educate the law to the viewers, and let us understand the context of this law that has become so contentious. Outside there, a lot has been said, a lot is being said, a lot is being anticipated, but we shall understand it by the end of our time here.
Thank you so much, Mugoya. Mwesigwa, welcome to U24, the checkpoint.
Thank you so much, Ivan. I am Harry Mwesigwa. I'm a student at the Law Development Center. I'm also the team lead of Lex Amica, a constitutional watchdog. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Mwesigwa. Coming to you, Mugoya.
Yes, sir.
To my understanding, the court-martial is not only here in Uganda. We have many countries that actually have the court-martial. To talk of India, talk of China, talk of Germany, talk of Indonesia, to mention but a few. And that is basically to help the person out there understand that, yes, the court-martial is not only unique to Uganda, but the question has been, is this, you know, a system that is being put basically to infringe on the rights of civilians by trying them in military courts? But to help understand the person who is watching us out there, kindly introduce to us this bill, the UPDF Amendment Bill 2025.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Our dear viewers, the bill we are talking about, the Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill of 2025, which in fact has already been passed, something most of you did not want or did not wish for. But to understand the aspect and the context of the Ugandans, why is it so contentious? Why are people not satisfied? Why is everyone worried about this law? It is true. It is indeed true. The court-martial does not only exist in Uganda. So many respective countries have court-martials. But now that is the question. Why is everyone worried? Why is everyone not interested in this bill, in this court-martial? And in fact, what is quite interesting, the court-martial aspect has shadowed all the other aspects. Like you introduced, this bill is not only bringing back the court-martial, it has so many other important aspects. We have the healthy board, we have various units, the retirement packages are being increased and they are being streamlined, the veteran issues, all those have been brought about in this law. But why are people worried about the court-martial? For the record, it is clear, it has been clear, we've all seen it here happening, that these court-martials have, the people who have always been victims to these court-martials have mostly been civilians, and not ordinary civilians, but those in the opposition. So, and they have always been looking at it as a tool used to oppress them. Recently, one was wondering, why would an alleged terrorist, Mr. Jamil Mukulu, he's been comfortably tried in the High Court, and will ask for us, because of putting on these uniforms, the red uniforms with our brothers and sisters of NUP and others. Why are they targeted? Why are the likes of Dr. Kiza Besigye brought in the court-martial amongst others, and not this ADF leader? Now, such blunders or such issues are the ones that have made the people lose trust in the government. And they've lost the trust even in positions. For sure, as we shall understand in this show, the bill is not entirely bad. No, it is not. In fact, yes, it has aspects that benefit the ordinary Ugandans. The state says they are looking at national security. They are trying to putting national security as a priority. But the issue is the electorate, the civilians, the large population has lost trust in the country. That's why right now, this is not the only bill. Even when
how do you determine whether the public has lost trust or not?
how I determine whether the public has lost trust or not is when, even if the government is bringing a law or any legislation, however good the government will try to portray it out, no one is ready to listen. Like, for instance, this is a very good classic example. Like you highlighted, it has so many other aspects, but no one says, no, you're targeting us.
Actually, no one is talking about other aspects.
No one is talking about them. And who is to blame in this aspect? The government itself.
Don't you think you're also to blame if, for example, you're not able to make people understand this law? If the MPs that do speak out, that get the platforms to speak to the masses, are not able to help them understand the bill, but also, I think also on the side of government, maybe government being able to explain the law for the public to understand. And I'll be coming back to you. I know Mwesigwa will so much want to come in here on the issue of how actually this bill came about, and if you can, kindly your perspective on the bill, but also give us the background of how it comes about.
Thank you so much, Ivan. So, on top of what my colleague has just shared, we know that this bill was actually introduced earlier, while the Kabazi-Gurka decision had not yet come out. And in the copy, which was introduced in the UPDF Amendment Bill 2024, they were still, of course, working on the retirement, working on how to help the veterans. They had legalized the Special Forces Command, which has been operating outside the Constitution as an armed militia that is not
Armed militia, really?
Yes.
Is that legal?
Yes.
My fellows here can be able to...
I'm sure
if you can define for us what a militia is, I don't think really we would call SFC a militia.
The reason why I would call it that is because the Constitution says that no armed force can be raised outside the guarantees and the dictates of the Constitution. Now, the Constitution provides, and the UPDF Act as it is now, that it's only Parliament which can provide for the designation, the organs, and also the different organs of the defense forces. Now, in the UPDF Act, Parliament had provided for the land forces, the air force, and also the reserve force. Currently, you had another fourth organ come up within the UPDF command structure, which is the Special Forces Command. We had it in fact, we had it in reality, but in the law it was non-existent. And that is why I use the term that it was a militia, because it was unknown to the law. It was strange to the law. Now, that bill tried to remedy those particular issues. When public outcry came out when Dr. Kizza Besigye was renditioned from Kenya with his aide, Obed Lutali, and brought into Uganda and tried in the military court, and he said, I'm a civilian and not subject. That's when the spotlight went to the court-martial, if we remember, and we had various civil society organizations come up, various human rights lawyers come up. We had people also go to the street and to protest. And then finally, the Supreme Court gave a decision. Everyone was skeptical before the decision came out. We thought that the Supreme Court was simply going to rubber stamp because of the erosion and how people currently perceive the judiciary. I know a lecturer of mine who calls it a judiciary in crisis. And it was within that scenario that we saw this bill withdrawn, the 2024 one. And now, post the Supreme Court decision, we have a new bill, which says it's trying to fulfill the dictates of the Supreme Court decision, but yet in fact, it is shrouded in mystery and actually is trying to front another agenda, which I'm sure Ivan will lead us into, and we shall speak about today. I think that as a preliminary point, that's the background.
Yeah.
But as my colleague here also stated, that there might be, and there are good things in this law, but this law is what the Greeks call Janus. The Greeks had a god called Janus. Janus was two-faced. He had a good side, he had a bad side. It's like a double-edged sword. Similarly, the UPDF bill may have a good side. But personally, my position is that the bad side has entirely overshadowed it to the point that the good side is no longer recognizable. And we have to remove the bad, yeah, before we can begin to even upload what is good. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mwesigo. Coming to you, Vianney. We are here crying out and saying, you know, we don't want to see civilians being tried in military courts, and all saying that, you know, it wasn't constitutional. And here we go, it's being constitutionalized, and at the same time, we're still yapping. Can we be able to break down the good that is in this bill and how actually now we can be able to know that civilians either are not going to be able to be tried in the military courts, and what does the ordinary person need to understand in as far as this law is concerned?
Where we start from is that, thank you very much, Ivan. Where we start from is from the aspect that the power to legislate is vested in Parliament. So Parliament can legislate on any matter concerning Ugandans. And Ugandans legislate through their members of Parliament. So the position is that once your member of Parliament supports a bill, then it is presumed that he is representing the voice of the people who voted him. Ordinarily, before a bill is passed, there should be consultations. So as Ugandans, it is expected that we are consulted. For me, I was not consulted. But it is expected that all of us were consulted. And where a bill is contentious, like the one we have, consultation should even be made more feasible, should be given more emphasis, such that the views of the Ugandans are gathered, and then the members of Parliament pass the bill in that regard. What happens is that this bill, it is already an act as we speak now.
Yes.
So Ugandans should now strive to understand what it contains, because, like you've said, the constitutional mandate given to Parliament has been exercised. And once it has been exercised, unless Ugandans want to challenge it in any courts of law, because there are courts of law which can strike down an act of Parliament once it has been passed contrary to the provisions of the Constitution. And, for example, we have the Constitutional Court. You can challenge the bill in the Constitutional Court. But should you fail to challenge the bill, to challenge the act, which is now, of course, an act of Parliament, then you should strive to understand what it is and be compliant, because it is now law. And law will be enforced as it is. The alternative would be to task your member of Parliament. If he consulted you, definitely you don't need to task him anymore, because your view has already been, forwarded, and it is now an act of Parliament. But you could task him, and the good thing is that the public now has a chance. We are heading to 2026. That's one way you can hold your member of Parliament accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
That there is a bill which was passed. That bill, it has good provisions, and also provisions which I think I needed to be consulted before it was passed. And therefore, you can exercise your right through the ballot, either by thanking your MP, adding him a vote, or by protesting against the MP for doing what you did not send him there to do.
Thank you so much, Vianney. We continue with this conversation. You can be a part of this conversation right on our social media platforms. That's on X and on YouTube. We're streaming live. For your friends that are not able to watch live on TV, kindly get onto our channel on YouTube. Share with your friends such that they can be able to watch online. Get your comments onto the YouTube channel, but also you can share your views on X, and we'll be able to read them here and share with the public. We'll be going in for a short break. When we come back, we continue with this conversation and understanding how, as young people, we can get ourselves ready as we come into this election season, where most of the young people get issues of, you know, being victims. We lost very many lives during the 2021 elections, and we wouldn't want to see that happening. How do we keep ourselves safe? But most importantly, how do we keep ourselves on the right side of the law? But as Vianney said, Also, at the same time, as young people, how do we put our voices, how do we amplify our voices to make sure that if the deeds of our leaders are not actually giving, how about we're able to put those that we believe can be able to do great in as far as our interests as the people is concerned? We'll be right back.
Don't miss on U24.
Now, to be honest with you, we are currently living in the best time to ever get rich online. And well, I assume that's why you're watching this video. Now, to some of you who may not know who I am, well, I'm Daniel Ashweze, a 24-year millionaire day trader, and I've been trading close to 5 years. I have generated hundreds of thousands of dollars entirely through trading. And more to that, I've been able to teach thousands of students to make money trading. Now, my purpose of doing this video is to teach you on how to start trading completely from scratch. I'll show you what to do straight from the beginning, and I'll also take you through the intermediate, and lastly, how you can actually be able to make money. And by the way, I'll also show you on how you can start with as less as $50. Now, without any further ado, let's get started with our course.
Don't miss on U24.
Sometimes because of the exposure we talked about in our previous episode, the sources, someone by the age of 18, they are so much exposed to sexual content, both online and offline. So when you talk about sexual purity, it is something very hard, and some people will not understand you. So today I want to talk about why is it important? I mean, how can you convince me to be sexually pure? I need to test. I need to know how. When I'm still, I need to practice so that when I grow up and I start doing these things, I'm perfect at them. So why is it important for someone to be sexually pure?
Wow, I hear your practice. I don't even know what you're practicing. But I really doubt there's anything you're practicing. You're practicing to do what? To raise the leg higher, to do what? Okay. You can learn on job, yes, and actually it's the better because you know best you're dealing with the right tool at the moment.
But even when you're working, they ask for working experience. So if you practice when you're young, then you can.
Now you're going to do internship and they don't retain you.
I know.
I'm not advocating for those who are sleeping around, because I believe there's so many, in a wicked world that we're in, people are having so many curses they're moving around with. You're going to carry along all those things. You do not know where they're coming from. I feel you can have your one partner and find the safest ways of being, you know.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Checkpoint here on U24 TV, your national youth television. And we're here basically to give you a platform as young people to be able to talk about everything concerning Uganda. And we want our voices to be heard. Let young people not be looked at as a threat. I've been in very many engagements where actually people look at us as a threat, as the young people. And I keep insisting that we are an asset for this country. Let us be utilized in as far as transforming Uganda and making it the country that we want it to be. Thank you so much for those that are engaging with us. I see on YouTube, Sumaya is saying hello, saying, isn't this the bill they asked Rain? I don't know about Rain. Who is Rain?
I think the comedian.
Ah, okay. We have comedians coming in Parliament, so yeah, if these kind of bills keep passing and you're blaming your members of parliament, you're the ones that take them there. So be conversant, listen to them and see if at all they do represent your ideas. Jali Ananchinga is saying hello. Ahereza Mariam saying great initiative, thank you. Musanje is saying, but is council well conversant with Runyankore? Why should the council be well conversant with Runyankore?
I think he's referring to the basement.
Ah, no, council won't be going to the basement.
We are protected.
Yes, we are protected here.
We are protected.
Yeah, these are views, these are opinions, and Yeah, we have that freedom in Uganda, certainly.
Freedom of speech, yes.
What we are sharing here won't be taken in bad faith. We have Janice Nkanja. Janice Nkanja is laughing at council saying that SFC is a militia. I don't agree with that. Mox Vince says, Ashraf Mugoya, thanks for your outspoken presentation. I'll be sharing more views and comments as they continue to come in. We're still discussing the Uganda People's Defense Forces UPDF Amendment Bill 2025, which most of you will just call the court-martial bill, because that's majorly what you know it for. But there are very many aspects that are in this bill now an act, because it was passed on 20th, last Tuesday. So we continue with this conversation, and the team is here basically to help you understand the acts. As young people, I don't want you to fall on the wrong side of the law, but also being able to understand all these things and put them in perspective. And coming back to you, Mugoya.
Yes, sir.
For me, what I want us to focus on right now is being able to help, you know, these youth out there to understand what is in this act, and actually how they can be able to be protected to not fall short. Yes. You might not agree with the law, but it's the law. Yes. So we might not have much to do about it other than abiding by it. So if you can, on the contentious issues that were there, majorly on the issue of, for example, we saw people doing parades, people putting on certain attires which were looked at to be a monopoly of the defense forces. If you can, kindly, in that aspect, when it comes to, for example, military stores and all that, break down what is in this act for people out there to understand.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Our dear viewers, I understand the biggest population is desirous. Most of the youth, we are desirous of witnessing change in government. We are desirous in having new leadership. Yes, that's very fine, and that is very okay. You see, at a certain point in life, one has to be honest with themselves, and this goes to we as citizens and the leaders. You see, every judicial officer, every lawyer, every person who is in a position of leadership, they should interest themselves. In Islam, we have caliphs. One of the greatest caliphs was Caliph Umar. He wrote a letter. He appointed a judge who was called Abu Musa al-Shari. He wrote to him a letter. That letter was guiding. He knew by that time, to be appointed a judge, you are literally like the president. And you are making certain decisions. You are the judge, the law. You are making the law and everything, and enforcing it. So he wrote a letter. And in that letter, some of the key highlights in that letter was that you must ensure that there is equity. You must ensure that there is the aspect of integrity in everything you do. How am I connecting this to the leaders? Our leaders, yes, most of the opposition, led by the leader of opposition, the Honorable Joel Senyoni. Yes, you are against the law. Yes, the biggest population did not want the law. But again, it is a fact. It is now law. Now, the greatest initiative we can make as the leadership of parliament, the government, even we, the elites, what we can do is to educate the masses. That, okay, now what can we do to be on the good side of the law? The military is saying the uniforms you're putting on, you're giving yourself ranks, like we have already seen some of our colleagues in the National Unity Platform. You're designing these uniforms, you are putting on berets, which berets these people are reserving as theirs. Yes. Now, whether you agree with that or you don't, that is the law. Now, the greatest thing to do to be on the good side of the law, avoid it. Yes, as we are against the law, as we are saying we don't want it, that is it. Because again, if you put it on, think about your families. Think about the government you desire of should find you when you're okay. That is a fact. We must speak facts. So I liked the Honorable Betty Namboze. She did what we were requesting all leaders to do. After passing the law, she organized the masses in Mukono, and she started reading to them provision per provision, educating them, telling them, colleagues, much as we don't want this law, avoid this. Avoid putting on these uniforms. Do not engage in activities that they have classified as rebel activities. For instance, the parades, we are really clear, and we know what the angle, the framers of the law, because when we are making the law, there is what we call the mischief rule. What problem is there that you are trying to solve? One of the biggest problems the government was having was the National Unity Platform and its members. That's a fact.
So it was one of the problems being solved?
It was one of the problems being solved, because they were saying, for years and for some good time, we have all been witnessing the UPDF leadership coming up and saying, don't organize those parades, don't put on that uniform, it is ours. And therefore, they came and they realigned the law. They brought back the court martial. They have classified what belongs to them. And so that means to be on the safe side.
But before you look at it as what belongs to them, first of all, is it, you know, a right? Do you have a right as a civilian to be able to have these parades, but also parades that are accompanied with certain clear words, as, you know, this is the arrangement, after this we shall be able to do this? Do you think that is right by the law?
Well, we must also look at the clear context of this. If the government has always come out, yes, it might be wrong. But again, the government has showed other intentions in coming up against this. Because if you're saying that the NUP, that uniform amounts to a military uniform, and that amounts to, it is a national threat, we shall agree with you if we applied that law uniformly. And that's what we are saying. Recently, we saw a musician called the Palazzo. He was organizing a music concert. The gentleman came in, actually, it was literally a military uniform. No one said a word. No one said anything. So the government must be intentional. If we are saying we don't want civilians not to put on these things, let's apply the law uniformly and not selectively. Trust me, they will do what? Obey, and they shall respond. Because right now, honestly, it is hard to know which target. It is hard to know, okay, if for me to be safe, should I belong to this political party? Should I belong to this? Now, the law must be blind. That's why the symbol of the law has the lady blindfolded. The law should come in a way that it is not targeting a specific group or a specific individual. It should come when it is addressing a mischief that applies to everyone. When we say no military uniforms, no one should put them on, whether NRM or ANT or FD or FDC or whatsoever, or anyone. And we should guide the people on how they should approach this to be on the good side of the law. And this is a task to the leaders, to the leadership of government. The Honorable Jacob Oboth, yes, he's the Minister of Defense. Now that he has done this, this is where other agencies should come in, other ministers of national guidance. They should all come in. The Honorable Chris Variomuns and others, they should all come in, now educate the masses. They have misunderstood your law. They are not satisfied with the law. But a law is a law. We must know that. So we should come in and educate the masses what this law is. How should you be on the good side? Like I'm guiding you, avoid all these things. Avoid military-related attires. Yes, most of the youth we tend to get so much excited and we look at it as the trending styles, and we would like to put on those boots, camouflage and everything. Well, think about yourself, think about the future. This country needs you. We need you. Me, I need you people. I need everyone here, yes. So we should avoid all that. To be on the good side, as we are negotiating, as we are engaging the stakeholders to say, no, let's do the right thing. Yes, we agree not everything is right, but we should be on the safe side, so that we can enjoy the fruits of what we claim to be fighting for and struggling for. Yes, that's what I will have to tell them, and a lot more.
To understand that, you know, there are no absolute rights. Exactly. All rights come with responsibility.
Actually, the Constitution lays down rights that are absolute and those ones that are not absolute. Now, here we do not see any right that is amounts to be absolute, meaning the state can use that to come against you. So you have to be really careful with how you're approaching all this.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. Mwesiga, we saw the opposition led by LOP, Honorable Joel Senyonyi, move out of plenary. Does that make sense? And we've seen it on a number of occasions where the opposition is dissatisfied with what is going to be happening in the House, and the fact that they are sure they cannot be able to match up the numbers of the NRM, they decide to move out. Does that make sense, most especially in a situation like this where I would want to see a minority report about the bill and to see an alternative? Does it make sense when we keep saying the opposition move out of plenary?
Thank you so much, Ivan. Now, Ivan, I'm going to respond a bit to what my brother said, and then I will also answer your question. My brother speaks about how the law is the law and we have to comply with the law. I hold a slightly different view that in Uganda, we have two kinds of laws. We have constitutional laws and we have unconstitutional laws. Yeah. And the premise of that is in our constitution, which is not perfect, but is at least able to draw that distinction. Now, a law which is made and alters a court decision, a law which sends civilians back to a military tribunal, which has no jurisdiction to try them. A tribunal.
I thought this act is trying actually to make sure that civilians are not taken to the military court.
No, that's not what it is trying to do. You get it? It's actually taking them back to the military court.
How?
Because it's giving jurisdiction, the power to try a case to the military court, not to civilian courts. If it was about saying that, okay, it's a bad thing to get ammunition, it's a bad thing to wear a military store, we would still have a law such as the Penal Code Act, which criminalizes that. But at the same time, you say that when you're arrested...
And you have people from the defense forces tried in civilian courts?
Yes.
Yes, and the reason for that is this. The civilian courts are able to guarantee the right to a fair hearing, which is an absolute right.
Then someone will say that is the problem with young people because you're short of history.
No.
The military court is there in consideration of the Ugandan history. And if you don't look at that, because the justification is about the history and how, you know, we've been able to maintain, for example, the discipline of our defense forces. And therefore someone will be like, you're not putting in context the history of this country, and maybe you're sounding academic.
Not at all. Let me tell you something. There is no such thing as, for example, that because for us we have a different history, we deserve oppression. Because for us we have a different history, we deserve to be tortured. Because for us we have a different history, we deserve to be in passive subjection. You see, when we talk about the concept of rights, rights are universal. That means that the rights that you have are the rights that I have. The rights that another person has elsewhere are the rights that I should also enjoy. So when we talk about, for example, the right to a fair hearing, What I'm saying is that every Ugandan, if they say that you have committed a crime, you deserve to be taken before a court that can impartially hear your case and determine it whether you're guilty or you're innocent. Not getting into a court which has already determined your fate. Not getting into a court and you apply for bail and for 5 years you've never been given bail. Not getting into a court and you're remanded forever. Now back to your question, Ivan. Ivan, the issue of the opposition moving out, yeah? For me, I look at that as what is termed as civil disobedience, yes? We need to stop assuming that we are in a democracy. Mm-hmm. We need to stop assuming that we're in a perfect political union, mm-hmm, whereby I can share my views, you can share your views, we understand each other, we have legitimacy. Those things, we operate in a quite different context. Uganda is not the United Kingdom. Mm-hmm.
That explains
Uganda,
why viewers are saying they hope we know Runyankole.
Thank
They're
you.
worried about the
Thank you. Thank you. You see that? So when the opposition sits in a committee and they see in law, there's a Latin term, it's called fait accompli. Mm-hmm. Fait accompli means the end of the matter is accomplished. Like you're beginning, but you already know where this is going to what?
But didn't
end.
But they knew that. Then what would
now,
be the essence of they being in parliament if actually they are not going to be able to stand the ground? And my question is specific on the effectiveness of their moving out.
Yes.
I'm not saying they shouldn't move out or whatsoever. I understand. But how effective? Because we've seen this happen a number of occasions. How helpful or what fruits have we gained from them moving out?
You see, when we look at progress, yes, progress might not come immediately. Many times we want to quantify progress in terms of an immediate change, an immediate shift. There is something called civil disobedience. It has operated in revolutions elsewhere. In South Africa, they had it. In India, they had it. The civil rights movement, the blacks in the United States, had it. Civil disobedience is about showing the person that you deem as your oppressor that, yes, you want me to do this, but I will not do it, and I'm ready to pay the price. You want me to participate in that debate so that tomorrow when we go to court, you can use my arguments on the Hansard and say that, you know what, they were there. You want me to lend legitimacy to an illegal system.
How about using your arguments in court to actually win the case?
That's not how it works. You get it? Because even if the opposition stayed in that room, it would actually give more legitimacy to the system than an argument saying that this bill was passed without the participation of the opposition. But I think that the most important conversation that we need to have when we look at the military stores, when we look at things like ammonium nitrate, which is used by students in schools, being gazetted as a military store, when we look at shoes, gumboots, shoes, my grandmother may have green gumboots, yeah, but right now she cannot move with them because she'll be caught and they will say, this is it. When we look at every single piece of clothing, the right to expression, you get it, the right to assembly, all these things being militarized. I think that the conversation should not be about passive obedience, but it should be about that what is the solution that we Ugandans are seeking.
I don't know which state is just going to watch as, you know, civilians are able to put on uniforms in whichever way they want. Before you know it, we have people putting up roadblocks because it's their community. They have freedom to do so because they are exercising and having obedience. We'll be right back to you, Mwesigwa.
It's okay.
Coming to you, Vianney. I need to understand for young people that are out there, the bill is now an act. As we move into this very, very fragile season of elections, how do we keep our fellow young people safe, not to fall short of not only the bill that has been passed, but also other laws that can easily be used? Let's not act foolish, or actually when we know the law and we get into the trap, I understand. from where Mwesiwa comes from, that actually it might just be a trap. The government might be enacting all these laws basically to be able to trap the opposition and all that. But then if it has done so and you still fall into the trap yourself when you're seeing it, then certainly there is something to do about it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. In this period in which we are going is a very tricky period. We've participated in it, and we have experiences on individual basis and collectively as a nation.
Mm-hmm.
And that experience has been packed over the years, which is why you and Ashraf, we are referring to history. But what appears to be constant is that in every election period, our history repeats itself. There is no election in which there is no single Ugandan. In other words, every election there is a Ugandan who dies. At least ever since I started witnessing elections. Why is it so? It appears that in a bid to maintain and capture power, we deviate from the law. The Constitution is very clear, because we all know it guarantees power belongs to the people. You know, they have right to vote, and the leaders, they, you know, of their choice and what have you. But conflicting interests mean that there is need to balance the rights. So if you are a law enforcement agency, if you are in a security agency, if you're in police, you must understand that there is need to balance the interests. Definitely, you're not going to get people supporting one side. That's going it's never going to happen. And therefore, in enforcing whatever law, let it be the Updf Act as amended, or you know, there's a Public Order Management Act, there is a Computer Misuse Act. Let it be the law that has no eyes. Let it be a law that balances the rights. Let it be the law that is applied where it is necessary to apply it.
Thank you.
Which is why you look at, we are speaking about military attire, we are speaking about stores preserved to the armed forces. But what's the intention of doing that? What's the intention of legislating that I cannot put on a certain attire? I cannot put on a beret. I cannot put on gumboots. The intention is that there should be a clear distinction between a citizen, a civilian, and someone who is a security officer, who is a UPDF, who is a police officer, and what have you. Such that there's no confusion. Crime, that if you commit a crime, we are able to distinguish. This is a UPDF officer, this is a civilian. That's the intention. So if I'm putting on a certain attire, which is designed in a way that a UPDF uniform is designed, but, for example, it is white in color, and generally the citizens do not know white to be the color of the military officers. So why arrest me? Because what mischief are you trying to cure in that end?
Yes.
Therefore, in a period like this one, there must be balancing of the rights.
Thank you.
Balancing of interests, such that we are able not to repeat the history. Because the moment we keep repeating the history, we are creating an angry citizen.
Thank you, Vianney. I'll give only 30 seconds to you, Mugoya and Mwesiwa, to be able to give your last remarks. Kindly, 30 seconds. We're out of time.
Thank you so much, our dear viewers. I would like to thank the management of U24. This is indeed a great opportunity because if you look in the country, most national televisions think it is only the old, those gray-haired men that can be in position to articulate certain issues. But you have proved that indeed, even us, we we've proved to be even more informed, more knowledgeable, and we can actually sit with them. And this shows that the youth should be engaged. And I encourage all the youth outside there, one, please understand the law, whether you disagree with it or agree with it, understand it, be on the safe side of it as we engage in using various modes to make sure that we rectify the mistakes that have been done prior. You must be there because ignorance of the law is not a defense. I would like to thank everyone. I would like to thank God who has enabled us to be here. I would like to thank everyone that has the leadership, the guild leadership of LDs led by my boss, His Excellency Vianney, the management and all our colleagues outside there who have tuned in. It's quite a night and everyone should be resting, but you have decided to tune in. I would like to thank the appointing authority for their support and everything that they have done for us. Thank you so much. I remain Mugoya Ashraf Harid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you. Let's go. 30 seconds, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ivan. I'm happy to have had such a wonderful conversation with my colleagues, and I thank the team at U24. I think that my message will be that everywhere that you are, in every single human being, youth or adult, we all have a sense for justice. We all have that conscience. We all have a feeling to see justice and equality everywhere. So in the small ways that you can do it, do it. If it's all about speaking for the rights of those who cannot speak for themselves, speak up and don't be silent. When you see oppression, speak up and don't be silent. If you can challenge such an unconstitutional law by going to court, please go to court and challenge it and do everything in your power to at least make Uganda a better place. Do not wait for another person to come and do it for you, because when you do that, we shall repeat the history that Yanni is talking about. But this country is ours, and let us love it and do right by it. Security agencies, we are your fellow people. We are your fellow brothers.
Thank you so much, Mwesugwa. Thank you so much, Mugoya. Thank you, Vianney, for being a part of this show. And definitely every Tuesday we're going to be here for the checkpoint to be able to check through a number of things that have been happening throughout the week and being able to help you young people and all Ugandans understand the law in the most simplistic way to make sure that we actually don't fall short on it, but also to be able to engage the powers that be, to understand that as young people, we constitute a population of over 77% when it comes to our population as Uganda, and therefore nothing can happen without us. If you're planning for us in terms of development, we need to be engaged such that also our ideas can be taken in, and that's why we're here to be able to have this platform for young people to discuss these issues, and I hope our voices can be heard. And I want to be able to give kudos to a number of these young people that have been tuning in. Nakayunga Leila, thank you so much for tuning in. Janice Nkanja, well, thank you so much. Bukenya Rayhan, thank you so much for tuning in. Namlundu Nora, thank you so much. Stephen Musede, Kamanya Derek, I see Mux Vince, he must be a popular one. Sumaya Jamil, thank you so much guys for tuning in and being able to actually be a part of this show. And I'll just read a few comments and then we call it an evening. Mox Vince says, let the opposition teach the people how to avoid the ruthless law that was passed. He calls it ruthless. Asma Faiswal says, well done, council. I like the insights. I don't know which council. I have a number of them here. Bukenya Rehan says, a very captivating topic. Thank you for appreciating. Nora says, well done, Ashraf, Vianney, and Mwesugwa. You guys are very grateful. Isaac says, firm great exegesis to the globe of UPDF Amendment Bill 2025. More grace, more etiquette to the nation. However, we shouldn't keep suffering the grace Ibinjira vice. What is the grace Ibinjira vice? I don't know about that. Those who know.
Grace Iringira, he's trying to warn the makers of the law. Grace Iringira passed a law.
That the law might catch up with them themselves.
He was actually the first victim of his own law.
Okay, so
Yes.
the members of parliament certainly have heard that. Derek says, but our parliament has let us down due to lack of hygiene amongst the legislators, especially those on the ruling party. What do you mean by lack of hygiene? I don't get that well, but certainly...
Political hygiene.
Maybe the political hygiene. I hope that is taken in. I thank you so much, all of you, for being a part of today's conversation. And we promise here at Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, and specifically U24, that we shall provide a platform for you young people to be able to show actually what we can be able to do in making Uganda a better country. And we do that peacefully, amicably, by showing interest. Let's play the politics of interest, where we are able to all come together, despite of the religion, despite of the tribe, despite of the region where you're coming from. Let's all come for the one benefit of making Uganda a better place for us all to stay. Uganda is for us all. I thank you so much for being a part of this show. My name is Ivan Tumkonde. Let's meet again here next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Bye-bye.